Hey guys, how's it going? And thanks for coming. I'm Nick, and this is Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money, because you know schools aren't. So let's get started. Do you have a little extra money that you don't know what to do with or how to handle it properly? Well, in this video, we're going over how to invest $1,000. So this video is actually a first on this channel because someone actually suggested this topic and I thought, hey, that's a great idea. So I'm sticking to my promise and I'm actually doing it. So if you guys ever have any suggestions in the future, I would love to hear your ideas. I would probably do videos on it. So thanks for the idea and let's get into it. I am first assuming that this is not the only money that you have. I'm assuming, and I don't like to assume, but this is an extra $1,000 that you have aside from money. Money that you have. If this is every single dollar that you have, I wouldn't suggest this really. I like having a cushion of cash just in case. It's like having a cup in sports. When you get hit unexpectedly, you want to walk away from the situation and not fall down and cry. So obviously this is just a suggestion. I cannot control your mind and actions. Do whatever you want. I just personally like to have an emergency fund for some cushion. Now getting into the actual answer to the question, how to invest $1,000, I'm going to be looking at it from two different perspectives. The first way I'm going to suggest and I would recommend is it's boring, unfortunately, but the second way I'm going to talk about it is it's more exciting, more roller coasters and action. So the first way that I would suggest and highly recommend actually is using this $1,000 to pay off your debt. I'm sorry, yes, it's boring, I know, I apologize. But in a lot of cases, this is actually the best idea. So just hear me out, we'll get to the exciting roller coasters later on, don't worry. But for right now, hear me out. If you have credit card debt, the average credit card debt could be like around 15% interest, guys. So when you pay that debt off, it is the exact same thing as getting an interest rate or return of that amount. So if you're paying 15% interest off, you don't have to pay that interest anymore. So it's like you're gaining 15%. Now this idea is great because it is guaranteed. Now there are of course other ways to get that same 15%, like for example, the stock market, which we'll be getting into, or other investments, but that is not, the special word is guaranteed. There is nowhere in the world where you could get a guaranteed return of 15%. Looking at the stock market real quick, it is possible to get 15% there. It's also possible to get higher than that. You could get 20, 25, 30, or even higher. But the key word is guaranteed. You cannot guarantee a stock to go up 30%. Possible, but not always. Now, there are some successful and wealthy people out there that agree with this idea of paying off debt first. One example is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is a billionaire and one of the wealthiest people in the world. He suggests paying off debt first, and similar to Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is on the show Shark Tank, and he also owns a basketball team. He suggests the same thing of paying off credit cards because they are destroying you. Warren Buffett and Mark Cuban are saying the same exact things, guys. That's because I taught them that. I like to think so, but not really. But seriously, guys, debt is holding you back from becoming wealthy. When you pay that debt off, you do not have those payments anymore. So now you don't have those payments, you're actually able to save even more money, get extra money, and then you're able to do more with that. So now that that's out of the way, the boring part that a lot of people would recommend, including myself. Now on to the exciting action Michael Bay exploding roller coasters part. So this part is if you don't have any more credit card debt, if you don't have student loans, or if you simply don't want to listen to me for the first part, we're going to move right along. So talking about investments that we could actually obtain, there are a bunch of them. There could be CDs, like savings accounts at the bank. There's real estate, bonds, stocks. There's more, but let's focus on them for now. So you have $1,000. So let's first look at CDs. CDs are crap. They're like gum on my shoe. They're averaging like a 1% return. I'd rather get paid to lick a frozen pole. Fairly direct. Now that CDs are out of the way, let's look at real estate. Now, since you only have $1,000, it is usually unlikely for you to use that $1,000 in real estate. Now, there are probably gurus out there that you could leverage real estate to get you a $500,000 property with only $1,000. That might be possible. In some situations, it depends who you know. If you're like me, I don't know investors or gurus like that. So more likely than not, real estate probably isn't the best bet if you have $1,000. You might need a little bit more. Maybe if you have some extra money much later on in life, you could start renting out, and rental income's a good idea. But for $1,000, we got to keep looking. So that kind of narrows it down to looking at stocks and bonds for right now. So historically, stocks outperform bonds, which is why I like them. So let's look at stocks. That's what we're going to be focusing on. So in the world of the stock market, there kind of are two ways we could look at it. We could look at mutual funds or individual stocks. Mutual funds are basically a bunch of stocks in a package, or you could just have one company, a single stock. With mutual funds, there's usually a minimum requirement. Sometimes you might need like $2,500 to open it up. There might be ones that you only need $1,000, but let's say you can't find one and we have to get into single individual stocks. That's what I would suggest with $1,000. Let's get into it. So with that $1,000 that you have right there, I would suggest splitting that up. It's called diversification. So instead of putting all $1,000 into one company, we're going to be splitting that multiple ways. Now, a really stupid comparison that I can tell you, it's simple, but it really works, is the popcorn cans around the holiday season. There are 3 different kinds of popcorn in the can. You got the regular kind, the cheesy kind, and the caramel kind. Yeah, you could choose just one, or you could have all 3. This is the same concept. So instead of getting just one stock or one individual company, I would suggest getting between 2 and 4 stocks, like different stocks. So this means with your $1,000, if you split it up between 2 stocks, that's going to be $500 in one stock, $500 in the other. And if you go all the way up to 4 different stocks, that's going to be $250 each way. So doing this, we're going to make sure that they are not all in the same industry. That's too much risk. If the industry gets hit, then your whole investment is going down with it. We're going to break your $1,000 up. Do not go 100% into weed stocks. But that's just me. So going back to the popcorn can, we have 3 different types, guys. We have safe stocks, we have growth stocks, and then we have aggressive growth stocks. Regular, cheesy, and caramel. So the first stock is one safe stock. One that is just large, everyone knows, and it is a good idea because especially if you're a beginner into this, you get into the safe one just to find out and learn how the stock market works, how it reacts, and you could see what it does. Now, some examples that I'm just going to throw out there, one could be Procter & Gamble or even Johnson & Johnson. They have so many different products and brands out there that it really doesn't matter what the economy does. If it tanks, people are still going to be buying these products, whether it's shampoo, toothpaste, toilet paper, basic necessity, Band-Aids, basic necessities that, if you're going to cut open your arm, you need to cover your arm. It doesn't matter. That's why it's safe. Some other companies in a different industry, which would be AT&T and or Verizon. They both have cell phone related companies. They provide service. They are very stable. Everyone has cell phones. It doesn't matter what happens. And they're very stable for these reasons again. A couple more examples would be, let's say, ExxonMobil. It's an oil company. You need gas for your car. You have to go to work. You have to go to wherever. You need gas for it. For example, another one, McDonald's. People gotta eat. It's not healthy. It's cheap. You get that Big Mac. Extra sauce. Now, another cool bonus to these safer investments, they have dividends as well. What a dividend is, since you're holding these companies, they give you a dividend for investing in them. So basically, when the company makes a profit, some of those profits go back to their shareholders, which could be you. So even if the stock goes up, if it goes down, you will still get those dividends. Now, the next category, besides the safe investment or safe stocks, are growth stocks. Still big companies, everyone knows, but they're growing very well. So instead of being stable or, slightly going up, these are growth, doing very well. Examples, Apple, largest company in the world. They are growing very well. They have a new iPhone coming out. They have new iPhones every single year or so. That's why they're still growing. They're huge in other countries as well, and also good benefit. They do have dividends. Not as much as the safe companies, but they do have some extra for you. Other growth companies, Starbucks, Disney, people still go there. They need their coffees and they're expanding. People still go to Disney World, Disneyland, wherever. They have the movies. They are growing and will continue to grow. Now, again, these are a little bit more riskier than the safe investments. They have more growth, but they could drop just as much. And getting into the last category you could put your last stock in is aggressive growth. These companies are crazy. They could shoot up, make you a good amount of money. They could also drop just as fast and lose you a lot of money. That is why we diversify, split it up, just in case this stock goes down. You have your growth and safe company keeping you up. Examples could be Facebook. Facebook is actually a huge company right now, but their growth is ridiculous, especially in the social media. Very similar to social media is Snapchat. Similar, but newer, and they actually just came public recently, but they are all over the place. They are down since they became public. It's within a year, they are down 40%. But at the same time, in the past week or two, they're up 20. So it's all over the place. Other example, Fitbit, that little watch thing that monitors your heart rate, monitors your, breathing levels and read minds and stuff. I don't know. But that could grow a lot because it is a smaller company. And if it catches on and grows very quickly, that could shoot way up. Same thing with Netflix. Again, everyone does have Netflix, but it is expanding very rapidly and could just skyrocket. But at the same time, it could get cut in half, essentially. Real quick, the examples that I'm putting out there, I'm not saying you should get into them. They are just examples. Do your research. So with that $1,000, you could split them up between these three categories. There are three different categories. If you want to go into, get 4 different stocks, keep the same categories. But for that 4th stock, just choose which category you want. Maybe you want 2 safe stocks if you're a safer person, you don't like much change. Or, put that 4th stock in a growth one, or maybe even an aggressive growth one if you want more gains. Now, the returns that you could be looking at, let's first look at the safe stocks. The safe stocks could change between maybe like 0 to 5%. Could be a little bit more, but let's say generally 0 to 5%. The growth stocks could grow 5 to 10%, or the aggressive growth could be 10% or more. These aren't exact returns. I'm just giving you an idea of, what you could kind of see or look at. So I wanted to give you that breakdown, guys, because no one taught me that. When I first got into it, I thought all stocks were kind of risky, but realized there are safer ones and there are risky ones. At the end, a good stock market return over the average and history and all that stuff, depending on who you ask, but a good answer, I'm giving you a range because it could really range, is between like 6% and 10%. Hell of a lot better than those stupid CDs and savings accounts. That's why I kicked them off the bat real quick. But check it out, guys. I wanted to go back to the debt thing as well. If you do get, let's say, even a 20% return on your stock investments, and that's great, and I wish that you continue doing that, doing research and just growing that until you become wealthy. But even with your $1,000, a 20% return is $200. Now that's great. Again, don't get me wrong, and I would love to get that return. But at the same time, it's not life-changing. Pros and cons here. If you pay the debt off, that kind of is life-changing. You don't have any more payments, so you could save extra money, and then you could use that extra money for the stocks later on. You really choose. Either way, your cheers, you're still kicking CD's asses, so that's quite alright. But that's all I got for you guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I'd like to see what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money. Because, no one is, guys. So, thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.